we recording?
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs.
It would be nice to have a compact version. I don't really need a tablet in my pocket. I don't know about you, but I don't.
No.
Some people might. I don't know.
I guess if you really like watching shows on your phone, then it's a good deal.
That's true. It's good for airplanes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's fair.
Well, should we welcome everyone again so they don't have to listen to all that rant just to get to the beginning of the episode? We can leave it in there, but we could also just not.
Do we need another segue? We don't need a segue. Hello! Welcome to the show.
Welcome. This is Shaler, and that's Chris. And this is the save file.
Do. We should get a soundboard so we can be like the summer one. It's just like do. It's like the sounds from like Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
It's just like the little sound. Oh, that would be.
This might have a soundboard.
Oh, like it's something built into Riverside.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Oh yeah. I got a soundboard right here. Do you want to do like a drum roll?
Let's see. Wait. Let's do a little rat-a-tat bit. Why how are you doing?
I don't know. Why don't you ask my therapist?
No sound, nothing plays.
Yeah. Nailed it, dude.
Of all the sounds, how many sounds are even on there? Like 4?
There's so many. I like the abrupt cut. It's just, hey, knock it off.
Can I do this? Where's this at? Or is this only you because you're hosting?
I don't know. There's a media button on the far right.
Oh, I don't have it. I have people in chat. I don't
There's
have
not
media.
that many. I can upload
funny.
our own though.
Oh, okay.
If I
We'll have to
wanted
make our own.
But yeah, we got all kinds of. Oh, this is the one I should have done.
Did you just see drum and that's why you chose the other one?
Yeah,
What is that called? What do they call the one you just played? What is it titled?
that one's called Drum Joke.
Oh, literally what it is.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. It's good to know that we have those, I guess. It's cool that you can upload your own. Whoa. There's a comet just flew by or something.
It's called Transition 2. I don't know what Transition 1 sounds
1?
like.
Yeah, what happened to 1?
It's Transition 5.
Whoa, that's like... Wait, do that again.
Okay, hold on. It was a long one. Okay, ready? Here it goes.
I don't even know if you can hear me over it. That's the energy it gave me.
It is the energy. That's what I was thinking of, too.
This Christmas. Whoosh.
One man is gonna save Christmas. Should I do Duke Nukem?
Yeah, that was my next thought again. It's time to kick ass the next thing that came to my brain.
It's time
do
to
the
kick
sound effect.
ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
I thought you were going to do the whoosh, and then it just turned
Oh
out.
yeah, dude.
Oh, comedy.
Wow, we really botched this episode. This is a big botch.
It's all right. I had a rough day. I'm having like an existential I think it's partly coming back from like time off type stuff from work. Like if you have a 3-day weekend, maybe even a 4-day, I feel like you can kind of get back into the swing fairly easy. But when you get like even 4, but if you hit 5, 6 or plus, it's hard to come back. And I hit that like 4 or 5 day thing. We had our New Year's Eve thing where we go up to like a cabin or a house we get up north and with our like group. Lots of fun. Always good to like get to catch up with people I don't always get to see, and we play like tons of games. We have like a bonfire. Accidentally muted myself. And then when you come back to work, you're just like, I feel like maybe you're missing stuff, or you just feel like you have like vacation brain for all the meetings I had. I'm just like, I'm like, is someone recording this so I can like watch it back? Because I'm just like, I can't focus. I was tired, then I was wired on that Red Bull, so it was like, excuse me, sugar-free Red Bull, sponsor, and not a sponsor, and so I just had like a weird kind of funky day, and my watch was being weird, and I was like, ugh, I don't want to do anything. And then when I got off, I was like, no, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna swim because I felt like it would help me. It helped me while I was doing it, like while I was doing the workout. I felt good, and I did like a little hot tub spa thing after, and that feels good. But the second I was basically done and I showered and everything, I was like back to being like existential crisis, like just feeling like, should I be doing something different with my life? Type energy.
Yeah.
And I like what I do. It's not like a hate on it. It's just kind of like, I literally Googled what percentage of people like pivot careers in their 30s, and they were like, it's actually a very high percentage of people that pivot multiple times. If you actually stay in the same career, you're actually an exception. Like, it's very rare for people to do that, which I kind of knew, but I wanted like self-reassurance of like, am I weird for like considering this? Because I feel like I'm in a good spot in a lot of ways. I don't know, just one of those days. And so before we hopped on this, I was like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, can I expand on things? Is my brain like mush? And then Sarah was like, nah, you'll be good as soon as you get on. And then we joked around for 19 minutes with sound effects and stuff.
Zing, dude.
So, yeah, I'm kind of feeling like, I'm feeling the rigidity conversation, but if you want to talk about media stuff, I don't really care. Rigidity. What was your full like take on that? What was your thought on it? Like, what made that come to mind as like an option of something you wanted to break into?
I think it more pertained to like faith and belief.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and it's probably more. I don't know. I was gonna say more characteristic of organized religion, but I think it can apply across the board. I'm talking, but I honestly don't remember my original thought as to why I
like the
wrote
seed,
down.
like where it came from. Yeah.
But just as it's kind of sat in my brain, it's just kind of that concept of, getting stuck in the rules or, how it's supposed to work versus just letting that faith and like belief kind of be a little more fluid, a little more free, less restricted. I think part of it came from just specifically in my faith, there is, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints probably has a lot more rules than, some other religions, less than others. I don't know. There's a wide range, of religious institutions that have all kinds of rules and things
Like some
that.
like some are shared and some are very specific to like their own niche.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Some are shared, especially as Christians. There's certain things, but beyond that, things that other people find maybe strange. Don't drink coffee. Don't drink tea. That kind of stuff. But we can eat pork. That's something that some people can't do.
My wife
so there's
doesn't do
all
that.
these different. Yeah. Different things. It's the same concept, right? But it's a different way to express it. So I think there's some rigidity in that, and I don't necessarily have a problem with that. If that's what you believe, then that's what you do, and just it's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. But I think it maybe is more on the side of like, what are we really, kind of focusing on as we talk about our beliefs? Are we getting stuck in it's kind of like in the New Testament, the Pharisees and Jesus. There was always this kind of battle between him and them from a spiritual standpoint, right? The Pharisees were very much like, this is the law and you don't break the law, right? So like a good example is like the Sabbath day, You keep it holy by not working, right? You don't.
Right.
That's a sacred day, but Christ taught a lesson in the New Testament, basically saying like, yes, but if somebody's ox is in a mire, somebody's livestock literally got stuck in a hole, you should help them, right? Like that's the higher law of
Right, the effort like is different versus
yeah,
like
you're
labor.
helping somebody. You're
labor's
not
sake.
trying to make money,
Right.
or you're trying to help. And the Pharisees were very much like, no, you don't. No, like you can't help them. You have to just keep going. And it's like kind of trying to live that higher law. And so I just wonder if we're at a time in the world now where we should also be going through some of that more fluidity. I wonder if too many of us have gotten kind of stuck in the rote of belief, whether it's in organized religion or not, whatever belief system anybody has, and we all have one. Even if you don't believe, that's a form of belief. You just choose to believe there is no God versus believe there is, or whatever it might be.
Whatever spectrum of things.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's just it's a belief still. It's still a faith. It's just a faith in nothing versus a faith in something.
It's funny that you say that because there's a speech that Jim Carrey gives where he talks about I don't know if he's ever defined himself. I think he's like a spiritual person, but he doesn't like label like organized wise.
Yeah.
And he gave this speech. It was like a graduation speech, and he was talking about growing up and how his dad kind of played it safe because he was, really wanting to do the same stuff that Jim Carrey ended up doing because his dad was really funny and he wanted to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But he played it safe. He got a certain job in like an office or whatever. And he goes on to talk about how his dad eventually gets let go from that job. And he has this quote where he's like, you can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well like put the effort in and try what you do because you could fail at that too, just as equally. And I was like, whoa. And then he goes down a line of, saying different things. And one of my favorite quotes he says is, what is it? It's, hold on. It's like losing my brain. I have it written down on one of my things. Try not to choose your path in life out of fear disguised as practicality. And I was like, I love that quote. And then somewhere in there, he talks about, he goes, have faith in like what you're doing or what you want or like what you're going after. And he goes, not like religion, like not specifically, I'm not talking about that. He was like, just the feeling of faith over like hope. Cause he's like, he classifies hope as a beggar. And I'm like, that's interesting. Cause it's like, people have so many different takes on like the word hope and being hopeful. And I get it. It's mostly a positive thing, but the way he spins it, where he's like, the faith in you doing something is like this way you're committing that's different. Hopeful is like like you feel like it is kind of a beggar. It's like and then faith is like no, I know I'm gonna. It's like a confidence. It's like hope with confidence or something. So when you said that, my brain just started thinking about it. Like triggered that thought of like how you can be committed to something regardless of what it is, at a certain degree, and it doesn't have to be directly religious related. Or it can be. I'm really bad at speaking on this stuff just because, like, I went to church until I was probably, like, I don't know, like 12 or something. Like, right around the time my parents split up. And my parents came from very different backgrounds. My mom was Catholic her whole life. She went to Catholic girls' school and all that stuff. The classic, like, rulers, getting hit with rulers, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
All the stuff, And my dad was Protestant, I believe. He doesn't talk about that stuff. It's not really an open book by any means. I can't even see the book. I don't know that the book even exists. But it's like I know that because my mom has talked about it. But growing up, I didn't know that the Protestant Catholics were very much like the Romeo and Juliet families. Like they don't like each other. Like that's a very common thing historically. And it's funny because they got together, and I think my mom was probably more ingrained in it than my dad was, if I had to take a guess. But they both came from big families, and when they got together and had us, they were like, we're just going to do like neutral. So we went to like, we always called it like a Christian church. We did like Bible camp stuff, like just stuff like that. And then when they split up, they got divorced. We just didn't go anymore. And I think we stopped a little bit before even, but I never felt pressure to be in a certain faith from my parents. Like it just didn't naturally happen. Like my dad didn't talk about it like ever. And my mom was like pretty general about it. Like she would like talk about it if we had questions about it, and we'd go to church, we'd talk about whatever, but it didn't feel like it was something that like you know how school, like you had to go to school, and even if you hated it, you understand now as an adult, like school, like of course it's important, and religion to certain people is that same level of importance. But when I was younger, it didn't feel like school where you like you have to go, like black and white, like it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So my mom wasn't that strong about it. I don't know why. She always just said she didn't want us to like feel forced down a certain direction. But so I always had like a feeling of like there's something bigger than me. There's like a god type figure, and then over time I've become like neutral. Like I'm not someone who's like I would never be like I'm a hardcore atheist because I know this, or I don't know this. I'm like in the middle where I'm like a spiritual person, where it's like I'm open to believing things, and honestly, I'm open to be proven right or proven wrong. It's just not for me to be like I know something when I don't know it. Ironically, because like I can be a class A BSer like sometimes where it's like, you know, when you lie to an adult, like you're being friends with somebody and you're like, they're like, oh, have you done this? Watch this new movie? You're like, yeah. And you're like, no, I haven't seen that. But you want them to like you and you're like, yeah. So I can do that sometimes, which is really stupid. But I feel like, I'm in this weird like neutral space with that where it's like, I don't want to say I'm right or wrong about something. And I really don't care like other beliefs. Like my wife has totally different beliefs to me in that structure, and we're fine. Like it works out just fine because like we respect each other's boundary on it, and we're not like weird about it. I tried going to church and stuff with her for like the first year and a half or so. It just didn't work out for me. Just I don't know. Just I didn't feel like a sponge there. I didn't feel like it like resonated with me, and they weren't my group of people, and it felt like there was just lots of different things that just didn't fit for me. So I was like, yeah, I haven't been going, and she goes periodically, and she goes on special days and stuff like that. So we've maintained like a balance, and it's been nice. But you obviously had a different upbringing than I did. Like we come from different. I think all of our friend group kind of had a variation, I would say.
Me and Big Lou are probably the most similar, but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah. That is interesting. Have you before I maybe I'll jump into my background. Not that I need to, but
Yeah, you're good.
before I do that, I just had a question come to mind as you were talking, and I was curious if you have. So you mentioned not necessarily meshing into your wife's church and just kind of the general atmosphere, which is totally fine. It's everybody's different, and things hit a different way. Have you ever felt something? Is there anything that's ever made you feel like connected to something bigger?
I think the only thing, I mean, past like when I was younger, when I definitely had a more raw belief or simplistic belief in it, because I was also younger and didn't like, that's all I knew, right? Like my world was smaller, so it's like I held on to it like stronger. But the only thing that ever like pulled on me the most, and this is kind of funny, and there's two reasons, and they're kind of dumb, but I think there's validity to them. So the one church that always kind of intrigued me was the Jewish church, which is funny because it's like I didn't grow up really with many like Jewish friends. Like it just wasn't common in like where we grew up. I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably was, but it wasn't like that common.
Yeah.
But there's two things. There's a musician named Modest Yahoo who I love. He's got some bangers, great songs, but he also writes like faith-based stuff, and a lot of it's intertwined. And listening to it in music form and the way that he kind of puts like the different perspectives and stuff was interesting to me, and it made me like want to learn more about that. And also, he didn't grow up Jewish; he like converted to that at some point. So I was like, that made it like interesting as well. And then I had a conversation with I think it was a coworker. This was years ago, long time ago, and we were talking about it. And I was like, one of the things that I struggle with various like organized like churches and religion is that they don't want to like adapt to things. Like it seems like like you were talking about the rigidity thing. It seems like some stuff is just is what it is, and some people might even address that like, oh, this could be different, but like we do it because of this, XYZ reason. And I was talking to this coworker, and she's from a Jewish family, and she was like, yeah, one of the things that I like about being Jewish is, she goes, when new things come up, whether it's like scientific evidence or new things that change, they will adapt it into their like sermons and other stuff. And I looked it up, and I was like, like a while after, not that I didn't believe her, but I like did research on it, and I was like, yeah, like they're a big proponent for doing that. Like they like adapting. They're like, oh, here's new information that either fully discredits or maybe makes us question this. I don't know if it's historical fact or what they thought was a fact or an opinion or something, and they address it. And I think that's really, really cool because I feel like that makes you malleable as human beings, I think should be. That actually goes to a question I wrote down. Where is it? Hold on. Do you think humans are meant to arrive at like a truth, or are beliefs meant to evolve endlessly as we gain new experiences? Like, do you feel like you're supposed to have a belief? And you could say this outside of like your church, like you could say it just like from a human perspective. Like, do you think we're supposed to have an end all be all answer or answers, or do you think we're always supposed to be searching for it? And that's part of the game, I guess, is that you're always searching.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it is an interesting question. There's kind of like the more reality based answer that comes to mind. I don't mean it sounds bad. I guess just mean like the physical world, like
yeah, I know what
sciences,
you mean. Like,
right? Like the laws that govern gravity, chemical compounds combining to make a certain like those things are just they are like we can't do anything about them per se,
right?
I mean we can, but they exist, right? Like you can defy the law of gravity by generating enough thrust to force you off the planet, but you have to understand the mechanic of gravity to do that, right? Like so in that sense, I think it's possible, right, that we could come to know all there is to know, truth in its fullness, from a physical standpoint, mathematics, those types of things, right? Maybe something a little more concrete. But the other side, and I can't remember how you phrased that last part of your question, but it made me think of the other side of that coin, which is like, will we ever reach maybe a total spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of something beyond? A good example might just be, would a living human ever actually know what happens to a perished human, right? Like what? Right. Could we ever?
Can our brain ever actually physically wrap around that?
Yeah.
Like, there's the game Starfield, which is made by the same people who made like Skyrim, Bethesda games or whatever.
Yeah.
So Starfield's like a space-based game, and there's these people you meet, and in the campaign that are like so advanced that it's like you can't even really see them the way that we see each other, and like they have different ways of traveling with light and all this stuff that like you can't even wrap. I know it's like it's sci-fi, so it's fictional, but you can't even wrap your head around it in the sense. So it's like you could also say that that's similar to like the spiritual or religious context of like, if there is something the way that you think it is, or whatever, you know, whatever church you go to, is there something that's like you just can't even wrap your head around it, even if you wanted to, like you just physically couldn't. I always wonder that
part. That's an interesting. I was gonna say, I don't know. What I was going to say initially was, I think from the spiritual side of things, the answer is it's complicated, but I would probably say no, right? Like we would never know, because then if you know, it takes away belief and faith. And to me,
right.
And this is probably part Shaler, part member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but that faith is important, right? Like to act in faith, to do things in faith, not knowing the outcome, not knowing what's coming next, is such a human experience.
For sure.
Right? Like to take that away, just it turns us into something else, right? Like it's if you know what's going to happen, you're almost more robotic, right? It's like, yeah, if I do X, I get Y. That's the result. It happens every time, no matter what, right? So it's like it's a math equation. It's not human. There's something so human about faith and hope, whatever connotation you want to put on that word, but and love, and just these things that aren't they're not always calculated. You can't always predict what's going to happen, and it oftentimes results in discouragement and pain and sometimes suffering and despair. You were hoping something would happen and it didn't, and that's not fun, right? Like you have to go through that experience. So I think we'll always have something like that, whether there is a God or not, whatever. But humans are always going to go through that. And then to the the side of the coin you were talking about in terms of like, is it out there and is it something we could theoretically detect, but our capacities are so, I mean, there's things that are like odorless gas. Like that's a good way to go, but that's kind of what you're saying, right? It's like I can't detect it with my eyes or my ears. The physical senses don't tell me that this thing is there, but it is, right? Like it does exist, which is probably
same thing with like gravity or like the wind. You can't see the wind, but you can feel the wind. But like you can physically see it.
Gravity is a good example too, because that one you can't detect with your five senses. I mean, you can feel the force of gravity pulling on you a little bit, I guess, but it doesn't impact you on a day-to-day basis, right? Yeah, that's not a right way to put it. You know what I'm saying, though.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
You can't detect it with the five senses in that certain capacity, which is probably a slight, to me, that has always been a slight tick in the win column, if you want to chalk it up that way, to there being a God. That your five senses are so unreliable for so many things. If you're waiting to like get the proof, like there it is, it's just you're gonna be looking for a long time. I remember on my mission, I was pretty close to coming home, so I was a little bit more experienced and a little less timid. I got a little more bold towards the end, and I said something without even thinking, but it stuck with me for so long. But there were some kids, some street youths hanging out.
From what? Some youths.
Yeah, some youths. They were like teenagers. This is classic. It's totally like a view in the lens of the past, because they were just hanging out, teenagers at a park for kids, right? Sounds like a bunch of other hooligans I used to know in high school who would go to parks as teenagers and hang out like idiots. And they're just sitting there, and we're walking past, and I think one of them, he just yells out, he's like, "How can you know if there's a God if you can't see him?" And I said, "How can you know if you have a brain if you can't see it?" And like all his friends were like, "Ooh." Just a great missionary diss, you know. I was like, yeah, that was good. I didn't even think about it, I just said it. But that's true, right? Like, if you're relying on your sight to tell you that something exists, then how can you know so many other things that you can't see? The wind, you know.
I love the quote from it's kind of funny because it always pulls, and this quote has existed in a lot of different forms, but I always pull it back from Polar Express because we just got through like Christmas time. Yeah. And he has the quote, because they say it both ways in the movie. When he's talking to the for lack of a better term, hobo Tom Hanks on the roof, who ends up being like an angelic type figure. He's talking to him, and he says the line like, "Seeing is believing," because that's like a very skeptical way of looking at something, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just like it's more of like a different approach. And then he says something to Tom Hanks, the conductor version. The kid says something to him, and he says, sometimes the realest things are the things we can't see. And he's just all encompassing there, but that could be like, and that could even just mean to you. It doesn't even have to mean to, like you said, like a scientific world, but it could mean to you that it's the realest thing, even though you can't see it. Love is another great example, because love is such a human thing that like everyone generally, I would say, thinks they understand, but like really doesn't. And like you can't really define it either. I feel like these are all things that you can't really speak to in a relationship, like your personal relationship with like the God that you have and you believe in. Like you can't compare that to even like your wife's. Like you might have very different versions, even if they're similar or whatever. I feel like love is the same way. I feel like everyone has a different interpretation of what it is, and how you're raised can even affect that. So I don't remember where I was going with that rant, but
no, I like that. I was, one other thing I was going to say, I think we brought that quote up on, I don't know, it must have been.
We probably did.
Our last episode. And I had one from Santa Claus, which was similar, which is Judy, the elf. Another call out to Judy, the goat of Santa Claus. Hot chocolate. But she says, what is it? Believing isn't seeing, seeing is believing. And I've thought about that more, and it doesn't necessarily resonate as well with me. So I thought about it differently. It's how I would say it is. A lot of people will say, "I'll see it when or I'll believe it when I see it." Right?
Right. It's a big
But
common line. Yeah.
I think if you change it and you say, "I'll see it when I believe it," it's kind of different, right? It's like the concept of like, in order to see it, you have to believe it first, right? You have
It's
to.
a much more optimistic way of
You've
looking at
gotta
anything.
yeah. It's truly anything, right? Like, even just our interpersonal relationships. If you believe that somebody's malicious, then you'll start seeing their actions as malicious. But if you believe they have the best intentions at heart, you will look at them different. Like, you'll see them in a different light, right? So it goes far beyond just, the ethereal and, is there a God or not, right? Like, and I think that has a hand too, right? Like, if you look for God's hand in your life, you may tend to see it more often. Whether that's your prerogative to believe that that's the case or not is a different story. But I think that belief that powers the way that you view the world can have a drastic impact on how you interpret it and see it. So
it's so funny to me because like all the people that I know, I feel like you're someone that rides that balance of like you have your belief system, but I feel like you're also a skeptic. I could be wrong, but would you say that you're a skeptic about things, right? Like, I feel like you and I are probably similar where it's like the obvious stuff that's easy to be skeptical about. Like, I don't know, like certain, like, I don't want to say vitamins because vitamins are good for you and certain, like, but you know what I mean? Like stuff. Yeah. Supplements, stuff like that. Like we're both probably aligned where it's like, I don't know if that does what they say it does, or if it does, it's minuscule. It's not like this crazy cool thing that people act like it is. Stuff like that. I feel like I don't think I would ever buy into stuff like that, just because I feel like over time we've easily gotten enough data to be like that's factually just doesn't do anything or doesn't do enough.
It's just it's also just your prerogative to. I think the skepticism is rooted in questioning, right? It's less about like. It's less about blowing it up, being like, it's always junk, it's nothing. It's more like, okay, you tell me that that's how it works. Why? What?
Right.
You're trying to get deeper into it, and so that skepticism kind of just it is and you're probably, I don't know if it's this way for you, but it's just I can't turn it off. Like it's like 90...
I can like BS in the situation if I'm talking to someone. But I can't, like, my brain will never not register it. Yeah, it's always on.
Yeah, it's like 95% of the time, whatever I hear, it just automatically is like, it's not callous of like, that's a lie. Like, it's not immediately like, that's fake, that's not real, whatever. But it is like, in the back of my head, like, I don't know.
You kind of give one of those mental, like...
I hear you. Yeah. Or like, I hear you, and I'm listening, but I don't believe what you're saying until I do my own digging and research to figure it out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I see you on your train, but you're like, I'm not necessarily hopping onto your train with you.
Yeah, it's like, and that's your train, and that's good. You stay on that. I don't care what you do, but I'm not joining you on that train unless you give me some real proof that that's, a good thing to be doing. So
it's funny because I feel like sometimes that skepticism sometimes intertwines with like my devil's advocate mentality with stuff, and I hate it because like my wife will get so mad at me. Like Sarah will get super mad because I'm like, I will be playing devil's advocate towards something, but I don't explain it well, or like my ADHD, I just like fire off and I don't think about how to structure when I say it. So it's like, imagine she has a friend that's telling her about like a really bad date that she went on, and she was like, yeah, the guy did this or didn't do this or whatever. And my first statement I'm thinking to myself is like, my first thing is like, there's two sides to every story, and like we won't know one of them. That's just the fact. That just is what it is. But we do know your friend and we trust your friend. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna lean into that side because like they're trustworthy and hopefully they're not someone that we would perceive as lying or trying to get attention by like fabricating things. But I will start my sentence with like, well, what did he, whatever. And I will like say it this way because in my head, I'm trying to think of the psychological side of like, well, why did he get to this point of saying that stupid thing or whatever? Yeah. And I'm not, and I try to explain it to her because it is my fault. Like I'm not delivering it the proper way to begin with. But my thought is to her that I always try to explain is I'm not excusing it. I'm trying to explain it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, he did this because of this and like get off his back. I'm just saying like he did this maybe because of this. It's saying that it's kind of dumb because I should be listening about like the distraught or like the friend story, listening to the details in more of like a mature emotional way of like, if someone's complaining, they might not want to fix. They just want you to listen to them, and I should be doing that. But I'm thinking like, I dive right into the psychoanalytic part, and I'm like, but like, what made him do that? And like, I just think too much about that, and it's like it's a TV show for me. So I feel like those like they share a similar thing with like the skepticism of stuff. I feel like being skeptical and like also being a devil's advocate are just two things that I can't not do when it comes to stuff. I try so hard, but I, like you said, can't turn it off. And those are probably the two things I ride with.
I was gonna say I'm the same way, and I think the skeptical nature. It just whatever you're being presented, you tend to just want to pick it apart, right? Like not because you're trying to, like you said, that you put it a great way. It's not trying to excuse it. It's trying to explain it. And honestly, if I'm being honest with myself, a lot of the time it's probably for my own benefit, right? It's like,
well, how can I learn from this situation? Yeah.
Yeah, or just like, how do I understand what's happening? Like, I need to. I think as a skeptic specifically, you have to like find a way to explain why the world works a certain way, right? Like if you can't just, at least for me, I can't just let it be, right? Like there's a jerk out there,
yeah, for sure.
And he did this, and it's just like he's a jerk. It's like, well, but why, right? Like why is he? How did he? Like you said, how did he get there? Is that going to happen to me? Like I gotta figure out how to not, right? Like,
am I the next Dahmer? Like I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh my gosh, I could be a secret serial killer. So I have to figure out what went wrong, where, and not do that, right? Like there's that part. Or am I surrounded by it? Do I know a serial killer? Like what's I got to figure this out, So yeah, I think there's just this part of, I don't know if it's skeptics at large, but just this part of you that needs to explain, like, why are these things happening? And to your point, some of it's just, I don't know, kind of fun, right? Like it's like, yeah, I want to learn, I want to understand, like why did you do that? And to your point, it's never about like discrediting the person, although that is usually how it comes off. Unfortunately, it's always about like, I just want to understand like the context of the situation before I make a judgment call on this person, because I don't have the facts, right? Like I need the facts to make a good decision about this pretend person that I'm never going to meet. But I have to, like my brain doesn't work any other way. I must.
Yeah. So I have a question because I'm curious, because I asked this question. I don't think I asked this question to you. I asked this to my buddy Antoine, and I asked it, was it just him? I can't remember. I was swimming and I was like listening to like Armchair Expert or something, or music. I don't remember. And this pop thought into my head. This thought popped into my head, and I asked him. I just texted him right away. I feel like he's such a fun resource when it comes to us having a conversation, where it's like, I feel like we can just like randomly ask each other a question, and it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be about a movie. It could be about anything, and we'll just be like, well, let me see. And we'll just think about answering it. It's kind of a fun little thing. So I asked him, because he's, I don't remember what, like, faith he falls under exactly. Because, like, he's probably said it, and I'm a terrible listener. But he obviously is a man of faith. And I asked him, I was like, what is one thing that made you, like, really, like, believe in what you believe? And then what is one thing that really you might even still struggle with that's like something that makes you want to disbelieve? Or I just was like, I'm curious, like on the intense levels of the different sides of the spectrum, like what is it for you that like full on is like, I'm here? And what is it that you're like, I don't know about that. Like I think my intention was to ask him presently what it is. Do you have anything like that where you're like, it doesn't even have to be a moment. It could be like a process or something that just makes sense, where you're like, this feels right to me. And this other thing is like, it's not saying that you don't believe in anything, but you're like, I don't agree with this, so I question it, so to speak.
Yeah, it is a good question. I think I remember you talking about that at some point. And I wish I had thought more about it so I had a good answer for you. But what comes to my mind immediately is less of like, I think at some point in my life, like if you would have asked me on my mission, or even 5 years ago or something, I probably would have responded with a one thing that I had happened to me that was that, and then maybe something that just kind of sits on the shoulders wrong, right? Like it doesn't balance the right way, and so it kind of makes you feel a little lopsided. Whereas today I would probably say almost the opposite, where my answer to what is an affirmation of like my faith and like what helps me keep going is more logical, and the thing that makes me kind of feel a little unbalanced is the more spiritual. Whereas I think 5 years ago it would have been flipped. It would have been that one experience that was very spiritual that helps me believe, and then that one thing that's like a weird rule and I don't fully get it and it makes me question. But it's not spiritual in nature. It's just like I just don't get this rule, right? It's a physical. Don't drink coffee. Why? I don't understand. Like why can't I do that?
Right.
It rubs wrong. But now I feel like it's flipped. So I think the thing now that helps me keep going is just kind of the concept that led us into the Jim Carrey quote, which is all I have is a choice before me every day that I get to make, and that is I get to have faith in something or I get to have faith in nothing. So those are my options, right? I can't.
No, it's such a like straight way of putting it. It's so funny.
Yeah, like I can't do anything about it. So I'm just gonna choose to have faith in something, right? And I have a
right. You're like, what's the harm in like like you're like, why not just choose
Yeah.
to do that versus not doing that? Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's partly the harm. Like, what's the harm? You can game theory it all you want, right? Like, well, when I get to heaven and I believed, then I'm better off than not. And if there was no God, then it won't matter, right? Like all this done.
Sure.
Like it's not really about that. It's more just like I've got a choice, and why? Like why believe in nothing, right? Like what's the point? Why? That sounds it's not appealing, right? Like if you really look at it. So
That's part of the reason I can't be so definitively just like nothing burger. It just feels weird to me. Like even if I follow like science of things, like I told you, like I'll never be a person that's like, I know not this, like blah blah blah. I just can't do that because I'm like, things change all the time. Like we see on the news like how many people die every year from cancers, and like it's horrible. And then every once in a while, like there's I don't know if it was leukemia or some sort of like particular strain of cancer that they just figured out a resolution for. And it feels like stuff like that is like that's never going to happen. It feels like it's such a horrible thing. Literally, cancer is our cells turning on us. It's like how do you fix that? And it's like, and then all of a sudden someone figures something out, and it's like, so I'm never going to be like definitive about anything. I mean, other than like, I don't know, technically, if you're looking at a red apple and you're like, that apple's red, and the light is off in the room, you can't say it's red because there's no light going through it that causes it to have a reflection of light. So technically, you can't be sure about anything. But that's why I can't do that either. I can't be like definitive about something that's just like, the universe alone is so massive that it's hard for me to even wrap my head around our marble. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I can't do that. I have my own like positive and negative takes from that, but I can understand your mindset of like wake up, choose to have that because it benefits you. Like you feel good, like it makes you feel good, and it gives like maybe you like some people might like the extreme structure. Some people really need structure and like rules to follow, and some people don't, and some people are like flexible in the middle and they like some stuff and don't pick up on all of it. There's definitely tools like my brother who had like lots of issues like with drugs and different stuff. I know there's a lot of people that going out of prison that like lean on faith to fix things, and I'm all for that. Like I think even if I was a hardcore atheist, I think I would still be like for that mentality, because it's like if you're someone that like has like these issues and struggles, and this is something you can lean on to feel better and give you structure, like why would I be like, nah, don't do that. Go back to jail and do bad stuff. I try to look at the positive and be like, no, it's cool. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
Each their own.
I think it's also just like a jumping off point for the day. It's like if I choose to believe that there is something versus not, it just changes the other choices I make throughout the day for the better. Like I don't know. And I have, like you said, I've got a foundation in it. Some of it's the order, some of it's that, some of it's honestly just think the root of it for me is just, I don't know. I can get apathetic about things pretty quickly in life, even with a faith in God and belief in other things. And so I don't need one more thing to like
Yeah.
make me feel like,
Just like beat you down. Yeah.
yeah, that like some big existential threat and everything is meaningless and what's the point? It's like, no, I'm good. I don't need
I
that.
feel like I have something. So, as I mentioned earlier, I can't remember if this was the beginning of the podcast or that clip will be at the end. But as I mentioned when we first jumped on, I was having like a really like terrible, no good, very bad day, and for various reasons. And I remember I saw this post on socials, one of them, and it's such a simple sign, but it reminds me of kind of what you're saying. I sent it to Sarah, and she was like, I like that quote, and she gave me like a smiley face, and it's this. Is it
What a
reversed? Or can you read it?
I could read it. What a privilege it is to be able to wake up and try again. That is a good one.
It just kind of made me think of what you said, where it's like you
Yeah.
wake up, you make that choice. Like this quote is like a good way to be like, I'm having a horrible day, but you know what? I'm here.
Yeah.
I will get through this day. I've gotten through a lot worse days or whatever. So it's just a good positive. It's like waking up and drinking a bunch of water. Like you're supposed to do that because it like helps boot up your system. No one does that. Apparently you're supposed to put deodorant on when you go to bed. I read that recently, not when you wake up. I don't know if I believe that. Seems kind of weird. But
My skeptical
just-
nature calls BS.
yeah, the skepticism is strong with this one. But yeah, I like the mentality of like just switching that up and trying to look at it positive. It's like putting that in the universe. I was on a trajectory of certain jobs that I had years ago, and I remember thinking, I listened to that Jim Carrey quote from the speech I talked about earlier, and he said that quote about, he followed that quote I had mentioned earlier where he said something like, what did he say? It was like, it's okay to ask the universe for it. He goes, I did. He's like, I got a lot of dreams and a lot of things I had passion I wanted to do because I asked the universe for it. It can be like you're asking like your faith or your God. It could be anything, but you're putting it out there in front of you, kind of like what you're saying, where you wake up and you choose that because it's like a positive light for you.
Yeah.
And I woke up, I had my first day where I was supposed to be on this like phone job at the company, and I like was like having tech issues. No, sorry, this was weeks before that. Let me backtrack. I had done training, and I had a day where I was like, I had just seen that speech, and I got up on like a break, and I walked over to a different department, and I asked the manager, I was like, what do I have to do to get in this department? And he was like, well, do you have experience? And I was like, kind of. Like, I was kind of BSing, but like I kind of did, but it wasn't like super strong, but I wasn't going to say that. I was like, yeah. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. I have questions. I talked to one of your people on your team, and they, talked in the training class and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, so I said, so what would I do? And he goes, well, I can send you some tests, and we can have you take an exam and see if you'd be good at this, blah, blah, blah. I know this knowledge. And I was like, okay. So he sent it to me. I did it. Didn't hear anything for a couple weeks. I'm back to like 6 a.m. I'm supposed to start on the phone at that day doing the job, and I have like tech issues. So I'm sitting there with like who was going to be my manager, and this other manager walks over, and he goes, "What are you guys doing?" And I was like, she said something like, "Oh, he's having like all these issues. We're trying to get him connected." And he goes, "Oh," and he like leans in. He goes, "Oh, that doesn't matter. We're gonna pull him to our team." And I was like, "Yo!" I literally lit up like a Christmas tree, and I was like, all I did was ask, quote unquote, the universe for it. I just literally, if I hadn't walked over there and done that, I wouldn't have had the job that I did. Then I went to inventory. Then I went into instructional design, which is what I do now. I probably would have had a whole different path or been miserable doing what I was doing. Like, it was fine, but I wanted to do something different. And I literally just took that to heart where I was like, I'm just going to go ask for this. Like, the worst thing he's going to say, like you're asking a girl out, is no. Or like, oh, you got to wait, whatever. Because I had like a meeting. This is the part I forgot. This is actually the most dramatic part. Before I walked over to him on that break, I had just met with one of the like Nest coordinator people that like helps us transition. And I was like, hey, I know there's this team over there. Like, what do I have to do to get on it? And he goes, oh, you wait 6 months and then like a year and then likely then you can apply. He gave me like the kind of typical spiel you would probably get in corporate America. And then that's when I walked out and I went, I didn't like this guy's vibe. Like it wasn't like my favorite. And the answer felt like he wasn't even looking at me. He was just like reading a script kind of. And I walked over and I was like, I'm not going to let that be the end of it. And that's what happened because I was like, I'm just going to put a little bit more effort in. And I love that story, and I feel like it's so old now. It's like years ago, but I feel like it's like a perfect example of just choosing to be optimistic or positive about it. So if you wake up every morning and you feel that way, and that makes you feel, whether it's structured or makes you just feel something, and it feels like it benefits your life, like who cares? Like, do you?
Yeah. And on the flip, if the empty abyss makes you feel good about yourself, feel that too. You know,
It's a
fine.
Christopher Nolan movie, Abyss.
Yeah, just whatever gets you going, man. I don't know if it's like the fear that the abyss will suck you up, the cosmic horror. Good, just let it drive you, man.
I found it funny that even like Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's like a pretty well known, like I don't remember if he's like technically a physicist or like what he fits under umbrella wise, but he has been asked in interviews. They're like, "Oh, you must be like an atheist because you're like a big star guy and like space and like science." And he's like, "I'm an agnostic person." He's like, I'm not going to define something based off something I don't know. He's like, I go with facts. He's like, I'm not going to disprove something off of nothing. He goes, I go with facts. If I have facts that say that, then maybe I'll consider it. But I respect that because there's a lot of people who probably are on that field that like are really harsh about it. And I like that he's like, I don't know, like change my mind. Like if it happens, that cool. Like if I start to believe in that route because I see something that makes me believe in it, the openness, the open-mindedness is what matters to me. Like you can have any level of belief as long as you're open-minded enough to recognize like what's in front of you versus, I don't know. It's a mixed bag for me. And it's been interesting because it's like, I like a lot of different kinds of people in my life. Like even like my wife, like her church that she goes to isn't like a typical Christian, like we go on Sunday, blah, blah, blah. It's not like under that. It's like different. It's under a Christianity umbrella, but it's like slightly different. Like I said, she doesn't like do pork and like shellfish and stuff like that. So people immediately are like, she must be Jewish. And I'm like, no. It's just, I can't explain it. It's like, it's not a thing. It's not but like she didn't do like Christmas and like Halloween and stuff growing up. Like it was non-existent to them. So it's just been interesting because it's like when you're younger and you're thinking about like, what it'll look like when I marry someone or have kids, and like I remember thinking like, what will the person I be with like look like? What will we be like? Will we be the same? And it's just like you never really know. And I'm sure that you and Danny have like lots of similarities, but you probably have lots of differences, just like we do. Yeah. That can sometimes bring challenges, or sometimes they're beneficial. Like I feel like me and Sarah have balanced each other out, where she's made me like a better planner, and maybe I've helped her be more like chill about certain things, where she's not feeling so stressed about things, but I also stress her out as well. So maybe I end up making it worse.
I get you.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, I think background in faith have a big role in that. Specifically as a missionary, I taught a lot of families who had, one of them was a member and one of them wasn't, or was a member of. They were Catholic and their spouse was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whatever. Or neither were like, they were looking at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, interested in it. And one of them was Catholic and one of them was Protestant, right? Just come across all kinds of stuff. I think that presents unique challenges, but to your point, you're going to do that. You're different people, so you're just going to have differences no matter what. And I wonder if in the way that I see my own church changing a little bit, both the leadership and the culture, just by nature of, our generation getting older and having a little bit more influence, and the younger generations as well. I wonder if we'll get better at those types of conflicts. I wonder if, we'll be able to
like the generational shift, because things are gonna like the older people are gonna like shift out of power, or that they pass away or just move down. You're right, because like we're on the cusp of like a big generational shift, whether it's like politics, religion, government, like whatever it is. Like we're gonna see a huge shift in the next like 10 to 15 years just by age alone. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
And I feel like the generations here tend to be a little more malleable, right? They're a little more flexible.
I feel like that always happens, like over time. Like our parents, realistically, were probably way more flexible than 3-4 generations ago. It's like they don't look like it to us because they're right there, and we only see like the negative sides. But it's like, I don't know, their great grandparent like was probably horrendous in certain ways. So it's like it's hard to see it though.
I was listening to some podcasts, I think a political podcast, but they were talking about that kind of concept, which is interesting. It just basically that people's natural evolutionary state is to become more liberal over. They're always, every generation next is going to be pushing for something new. And
Right.
so I can't remember what side of the aisle they sat on, but they kind of were just like, the conservative movement is really just about trying to keep that in check. And I thought that was, if that's actually how it worked, it's a little bit goofy now, right? Like, but if
But-
that's actually how it worked,
I know
it's
what you
actually
mean.
not
Yeah.
a bad system, right? It's like, yeah,
Right.
it makes sense. Like, we're a little more liberal than our parents, and our kids are going to be a little more liberal than we were. It's just, that's kind of the natural progression. But the conservative kind of mentality is just like, okay, yes, but can we talk about how? Can we slow down and make sure we understand what we're doing when we say, like, yeah, for sure, if you're 8 years old and you want to become the opposite gender, that's fine. Like, you have that choice. Like, maybe we should think about, let's just make sure we understand, right? I'm not saying no. I'm just saying let's think
Like,
about
let's
it.
read the book on like all that affects.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because it's any decision, like anything that's like medium to large should be thought through. Right. Like, again, to me, it always goes back to like the openness of like looking at it, discussing it, figuring it out, rather than either way making a rash decision and just jumping on it and being like, I know it's best because whatever. Like, again, this is another joke me and Antoine were making because we were talking about like how crazy it is how people can be like racially motivated or just generally just like racist with different
Yeah.
groups nowadays. And it's funny because I grew up in sports, which has lots of different types of people from different backgrounds. So I feel like I was exposed to that rather than being kept in this like little box where I only saw one type of people or my family and my extended family. And that's all I ever knew or something. But I feel like we joked about, what was it? It was like the way that like grandparents get mad at people for being gay or people for being whatever. And then I remember us talking about it and we were like, I can't wrap my head around it. And I went, but you know what? We could be like 85 one day. And we're like, my granddaughter wants to marry a robot. And we're just like, I don't get it. And it's like I know that's kind of an extreme and kind of a jokey version of it, but people be out here marrying AI. So it's like not that weird. But I remember us joking about it. And it's like, it's hard to kind of put yourself in that spot until you're there. It just is. And yeah, generationally, I think we push the needle forward in that sense, in a progressive liberal sense. But then I feel like I thought there was a study or an article or something that I was talking about with somebody where individually people get conservative as they age. Not to say that you're going to be like a hardcore conservative, but like you tend to be more conservative because your ideas, much like a lot of people who like listen to the same music, which is a lot of people, like I like to pick up new music, but I still have my core like genres I listen to, and some stuff is outdated. And I feel like when you get older, like you still listen to that music, your parents still listen to oldies, but it's like it's not relevant anymore. But it is to them. So like when you're 80 and like things are weird and it's like, well, I'm more conservative because things have generally become more liberal in a sense. So everyone kind of leans into conservative eventually, just not the same kind of conservative.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like and honestly, part of it is just your values too, right? Like you have a certain set list of values, and you may never change, but because
they
the
will.
next generation is getting more progressive, you're viewed as more conservative, right? On that level. And you mentioned the oldies. It just
What?
reminded me of the joke. There's this comedian that sometimes he was opening for Metallica for a couple of years. I can't remember his name.
Is he like in the spotlight now or no? He's like a smaller.
I think he's a little smaller. Yeah, he's a pretty big metalhead, so a lot of his jokes are metal related. But
Okay.
he had this great
Like
joke
iron
about-
and like steel and stuff like that, metal related. This
yeah,
is where you pay the drums thing. Okay, keep going.
yeah, like exactly.
All right, I'll see myself out.
Um,
Anyway,
Yeah.
he has a joke.
he
You were
has a
gonna say
joke where he talks about the oldie station when he's
Okay.
he's probably in his, I don't know, 50s. Metallica's in their like 70s, right? So
Right.
let's say you grew up on them, you're getting close to that age, but it's, he has this joke about like grandpa in the back seat being like, put on the Goldie oldies station, and the guy driving's like, okay, grandpa, and he puts it on, and it's like Creeping Death by Metallica, and the grandpa's just like headbanging in the back. That'll be the new oldies, like at
Yeah,
some
I know,
point, that'll be the oldies station.
That's so funny to me. Like people have talked about how a lot of like newer generations, more and more people get tattoos even. And they're like, think about how a huge chunk of our generation is going to look when they're in their 80s. Like
Yeah.
I've only seen, I don't know about you, I've seen like two people
Yeah.
ever that had like a lot of tattoos when they're older. And one, they weren't great. And the other guy, he looked cool as hell. Like he looked cool as hell. Like he pulled it off, but
Yeah.
he had the hair. Like he knew what he was doing. He had a look.
It's
But it made me
also
kind of think of that. Yeah.
it's I don't know who you saw, but like the only person I could think of is one of my great uncles, and he served in the Navy. So it didn't look great per se, like on him, but it had symbolism. It was like,
Oh, sure.
it,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't anything crazy. It was like an anchor. He was in the Navy, so it was like an anchor. But it's like, oh, that's kind of cool because he did that, right? He was in the Navy, and he sacrificed for his country and stuff. But it's a good point. Yeah, I don't know what people are gonna look like in a few decades with all that.
I mean,
stuff going on.
I never thought the mullet and the mustache were gonna. I mean, the mustache honestly goes in and out. I never thought the mullet would ever come back. And this younger, like Gen Z generation, is
Yeah.
like getting mullets on purpose. And I'm like, what are we doing out here? Like, what is this? And then it's so funny because like I don't think our generation, other than like the scene kid thing, like how Zach kind of had his look with his hair.
Yep.
I think a little bit of the 90s kind of hair. I think we had an aesthetic, but this generation it's like they stole mullets and mustaches from different generations. They have like the tall socks again from like another generation. I seen women wearing what are those pants called? They're like from the 70s, that kind of the bell bottoms or whatever.
Yeah.
They're just picking from all these different generations, and I think it's because of stuff like Stranger Things. Like there's a big nostalgia push for like the 80s in the last 5 or so years, and I'm like, they're picking up from all these different generations. I'm like, you guys don't even have your own thing. You're just like a Franken thing of like all these other generations.
It's
So like when they look back,
bleach blonde hair. That one's big here. I don't know if it's big there, but like all the high schoolers here have frosted tips, not bleach blonde, but frosted.
I have started seeing that
tips.
again. I've seen some kids like walking on the street with like, it's so confusing to me.
It's like
I think it's
Backstreet
hilarious
Boys.
though. Yeah, it's like NSYNC Backstreet Boys energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what it'll look like looking back when we're older. It'll be interesting, but I think there's definitely going to be something where it's like we're not going to agree with it and we're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm pretty decently like technologically okay at this point. Like I don't feel like an old person with tech, but eventually we're gonna get like holograms. We're gonna get something we don't understand, and we're probably gonna be viewed as like, my grandparents, I love them, but they don't get it, and blah blah blah. And it's just like you can't fathom what it's gonna be. You don't know what the world's gonna look like. So I think the rigidity thing. Do you feel like you have to be rigid to hold on to like your belief system personally, or do you think people in general, because obviously it seems to vary? I personally think that I like to think that you don't have to be rigid, but then I know that there's people that like if someone who's like hyper religious is saying XYZ about a topic and then they have a different take on this other topic and you're like, well, you can't be a hypocrite, you have to do both, right? Like you have to do all 10 you have to follow all 10 rules. You can't like deviate from one. And it's like, I get it, because it's like you're supposed to follow it, then follow them. But I also understand the aspect of like someone who, I agree with these 8 things, but a little less with 9 and 10 not at all. Like I personally would pick and choose if I felt like it mattered. But some people, they need that rigidity. Like they can't cross that line, I feel like.
No, it's a good question. I think a big part of it comes down to, I don't know if this is a term that's used broadly or more specifically in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or what, but the spirit of the law, it must be broad. Spirit of the law versus letter of the law. I'm sure you've heard that term.
I feel like I have, yeah.
They use it in legal settings as well. But it's really just that concept of what does the letter of the law say, right? Like the letter of the law says don't I go back to the Sabbath. I don't know. It's the only example I can think of, but don't do anything on the Sabbath, right? That's the as it is written, that is the law. But what is the spirit of the law? Well, the purpose behind the law is to set aside a day where we try to think about God more often than the other days of the week. So don't get distracted, right? Don't do the things you would normally do, because that takes you away from thinking about
Yeah, it's
God.
like a focused based
Right?
dedication.
It's a day to dedicate to God so you can focus on thinking about him. Does that mean don't do anything? Does that mean lay in your bed all day? Does that mean, right? Like, so what is
Just
the
the whole
spirit?
day, just like a board.
Yeah,
Your whole
right.
family's, everyone's just laying in their beds, just like this.
Go to church, go home, lay in bed. So what is the spirit behind the law? So to me, that I think is a good answer for like that kind of rigidity versus fluidity concept. Is like, maybe it's better to understand the meaning behind the commandment or the law, or that one specific thing that you're asked to do on a regular basis, or whatever piece is considered rigid. There's always a spirit behind it, right? Like, I think organized religion is generally pretty good at least that. It's usually not frivolous, like, well, just make a bunch of rules and make everyone follow them. Like, just whatever.
Make a
It'd be
bunch of
funny,
rules.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty good about having a reason for most things, even though it's not always apparent or easily understood. But understanding, like, what is the spirit behind the law, and how can I tap into that?
Right, let me live by that, not necessarily the face value.
Exactly. So maybe sometimes it isn't a perfect example of like, I keep the Sabbath day holy. Don't look at me as the poster child for that. But I think about what is the spirit behind it, what is its intention and its intended purpose, and I try to do that, right? I try to live more intentionally the law versus just living the law. It's you're getting a bunch of stuff from Jesus Christ from me, but he talks about the Pharisees being he compares them to sepulchers, where they're beautiful and white on the outside, but on the inside they're filled with dead men's bones, right? Like, basically just saying, like, this concept of like, outwardly you look great for all the world to see, but inwardly you're not doing the real work of cleansing your inner self. And I think there's a little bit of that inner that spirit of the law versus letter of the law in that too, right? Of like, yeah, I keep the letter of the law, I'm perfect, I do that, I'm great, look at me doing all the things right. And it's like, well, yeah, but you missed the spirit. You didn't actually gain anything that helped you be a better person by doing it. You just did the thing. So
I can see how you can have. It's so funny because this didn't come up. My question didn't come up at the beginning, but somewhere close to the beginning. But now I feel like that's a full circle, because I was basically asking you the balance of. I didn't ask you like the inception of like you being like religious in your faith, and like the conflict you had with maybe being a skeptical person, the way that we both can be. But you kind of answered that in a sense, at least now where you're at, is like your skepticism can go around it because you're looking at the underneath, not the surface level. So it's like you can be skeptical of it, and then you're like, well, I believe and agree with this thing that's here, and that satisfies or satiates my skepticism, which is a good.
Yeah, it also helps you look past it too, I think. Right? It's all those little things that people sometimes get. You ask that question of like, what is maybe the one thing that sticks out to you that makes it hard to believe, right? Like, especially in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, people get hung up on all kinds of stuff. I can't drink coffee. I don't know why. Joseph Smith, was he really a prophet? The Book of Mormon, did it really come from gold plate? All these little things that people look for and see, and it's like, oh, I don't know. That part didn't make sense. To me, it's just nothing. It's all just a bunch of words and stuff. And if it's important to you, then that's okay. I'm not trying to diminish anybody's
Sure.
Belief, and it's true for anybody in any religion, right? Like, well, where's the cross that proved that Christ died, right? Where's the tomb? Show me, right? It's all these things. Like, I want to see the proof, and it's never about the proof. It's never about, it's helpful, and if you can find it, then awesome. And that to me a little bit is comparable to the letter of the law, right? It is the thing as it is. It's the reality of it, because I can touch it, I can taste it, I can see it. But what is the spirit of the law? What is the intention of the thing that we're talking about? What is the intention of a man dying and being resurrected? What is the intention of somebody saying they found Holy Scripture and they've given it to the world to read and make their own interpretations about God? What does it do for you when you read it? Who cares about where it came from or what it is? Just when you read it, how do you feel? What does it do? How did it open your mind to new concepts? Even if you don't believe Joseph Smith is a prophet and you're going to get baptized tomorrow, read it and get some insight, right? Like, there's plenty of good stuff in the Book of Mormon, the Bible. I'm sure the Quran. I probably should take my own advice, but
everything has its pros and cons. That's for sure. Like and that's what I think is kind of. There's a song. This is the one thing I feel like I do wish was better across the board. There's a song by I can't remember his name. I think he's like a reggae artist. I could be wrong. I think it's like Trevor something. I don't know. I don't like most Trevors, but this is a good song.
That's a good rule of thumb. That's a good one for letter of the law stuff. Is like, Trevor is your name. It's just an automatic. Like, yeah, you're not the greatest guy.
He has this song where he talks about like him being raised and how his parents raised him, essentially. And there's a thing in it where he talks about like there's so much love for like gods, but not for the people. And I wish that sometimes people, and some people are better about it and others are worse. And some are better, some are worse, in various religions across the board. But I wish that everyone had an understanding of like, have your beliefs, do all that stuff. But we're also like here together. We share a space, whether you believe different things or not. And I think if people just respected people's points of view and let them have it, and like you can share your story and you can influence in the sense of like, hey, I'm sharing it. It's not like when you went on your mission, you weren't like holding people at gunpoint and like, listen to me, I want to tell you all this stuff. It's like you're coming to share, you're going to offer it, and then you leave, or like, they want to talk about it, and then you leave. It's like I think that's one of the things that the country that we live in is interesting, is like you have the freedom to do stuff like that. Obviously in other places, not everywhere you can do that type of thing. But I feel like there should be more balance to that, because no one's going to have the same upbringing. It's just not going to happen. There's too many of us and we're growing more and more. And it's just like, I remember there's like 6 billion when we were younger. Now there's like 8.5 billion or something. It's just not slowing down. And we're all raised by different people in different communities and different countries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're all going to have different takes. Like you could have someone that sits 20 feet from you that like you guys go to the same church, like physical, like same location, but you have totally different takes on one thing. Yeah. And it just is what it is. And I wish that we could come to an understanding. I don't like Quentin Tarantino right now, because he was like bashing on all these other actors for trying to do good at what they do. And I wasn't my favorite take of his, but he has a quote where he's interviewed and he says something like, the internet, and this could speak for the world, but social media is the world at this point. To most, like I don't use it as much, but some people like use it like crazy. And he had this quote where he said, the internet, but people in general, he goes, they rather be right than happy. And I'm like so sick of like, yeah, you just got to argue. And I do it too. Like I also do it. Like me and Sarah will get in arguments and it's just like, why am I being so stubborn about this? Like, I don't care that much about it. Let's let it go. And it's just like, you want that feeling of like justice has been served, that you're right. What you think or feel is right. And I feel like you can pass that to people and share it with people, but it shouldn't really go to the point where you're like forcing it on other people. And I feel like that's a world thing. That's an everybody thing. And we would be a lot better for it, because we're never going to be completely on the same page with each other. Doesn't matter. Like we get along and we're on a lot of the same pages, but we grew up differently and we're in different situations now, like faith-based, or like you have kids in like your family, and like me and Sarah, we don't have any kids right now, but we still get along because we have all these other things that like bring us together and we agree on and see eye to eye on, or even challenge each other on. Yeah. And I just wish the world was better at that. I feel like
you need it, right? Like we really need to have that back and forth. So it's the only way to progress.
I don't know how we're gonna dig out of this dark hole. It's like we need to be better. We need to be nicer to each other.
That's okay. I don't think that's a dark hole.
No, it's not a dark hole. It's a positive tone, but it's explaining a dark hole that we currently are in, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're getting there as a species.
Yeah, I mean we've only been here for a blip.
That's
if
true.
you look at even if you look at it from a religious context of like if depending on like how far back you believe like Earth has existed or whatever, still even if you're looking at thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions, doesn't matter. We still hear such a small percentage, regardless. Like our individual lives are so small.
Maybe we ended on this quote from the newest Jurassic Park that like blew my mind. You know, I never really thought about it this way, but. You've seen it, yeah?
Yeah, what is the new one called? Jurassic World.
Fallen Kingdom, is that it?
No, Fallen Kingdom, Dominion were the last ones. Then it was Jurassic World, Rebirth with ScarJo. I think it's Rebirth.
World, Covenant. No, Jurassic World, Xenomorph. I can't remember.
It's Rebirth. It is. It's Rebirth. It's Rebirth.
That's Rebirth. Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was. Wait, did Ridley Scott direct it?
I don't know if he directed. No, I don't think so. Are you making a joke?
Yeah,
I wasn't looking at you. I was looking at Google. I was like half listening.
The D-Rex. It looks like a xenomorph.
Oh yeah. It kind of. It's like a fat morphed head of like an alien. Yeah.
That was the worst part of that whole movie. But there's an interesting part.
There's some good stuff.
It was good. Yeah. No, that was just.
I had a fun time. It has some bad stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. But there's a part where the slick guy, there's always the slick guy. I think he worked for InGen because they always work for InGen, those slick guys that are trying to steal stuff.
Oh, for sure.
And he talks about he's like, I'm pretty sure I'll be fine, I'll survive fine or whatever, something to that effect. And the scientist guy was like, these creatures were on the planet for millions of years and you've only been here for, like 1,000. So they are much more capable of surviving on this planet than you are. Something to that effect. Right. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, man,
that's true.
I remember that.
You think about it, you're like, wow, he's like, we've done all these things, right? Built empires, cities, just all this stuff. And we haven't even scratched the surface of the amount of time that the T-Rex species roamed the earth. It's like, wow, that's crazy. So,
they've figured out how to survive a lot longer. We have been here such a such a small,
a little blip, but
so weird to think about that. You try to make your time on Earth. You try to make your time matter here, and hopefully when you're 85, when you're older, all you have is your stories, and hopefully those stories are good ones.
It's like Gandalf
and not
says.
The same 10.
Right. I'm gonna get a Lord of the Rings quote in every single episode.
I know. Wait, I gotta mention Ben Rector. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say Gandalf tells Frodo that we don't get to decide how much time we have. We just get to decide what we do with the time we are given.
Yeah.
So, all right, lay some Ben Rector on us, and then we'll close out.
Okay, Ben Rector. Don't turn it off. It's like I can feel you thinking about it.
My mouse is floating over the stop button.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
It's actually a good song for this.
Watching TV on the couch, I'm trying my best to figure out how to make it go slow. Funny how a moment just like this goes just like that. You can't put more sand in the hourglass.
I love it. It's one of the new that came on the deluxe. Good song.
I like it, man. That could be the outro.
very
You
fitting.
could just kind of fade that out. Or we could use this as the outro. Are you ready? I like to call them sticky quips.
By Saber?
It's Sabre, dude. Seriously. Saber.
They're fun, and I forget the other thing that he says.
Yeah, what does he say? They're fun and effective. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Something Gabe would say. Gabe, the old loser.
Gay, gay bastard. You gay bastard. That audio
Shut up.
snippet is
Sit
gold.
down and listen.
Listen. Makes minutes to my book.
That was a good prank.
The effort involved to make that is what makes it so much like better than any other, not any other prank, but then a lot of pranks.
But if you think about it, it wasn't too bad because all he had to do was just get it all to like get that intro.
Oh, you're
and then
right.
he
And then she just
let the
reads it.
book-
Yeah.
he just let the whole book go.
You just had to crop around that audio at the beginning, which, to be honest, isn't the craziest thing. Maybe whatever software they had or didn't have on those janky old computers, maybe it was difficult. But
That's true. That's a good.
the
point.
office will never not be relevant. So
That's true. It's a tough one to let go. I think I heard Rainn Wilson was getting after people for rewatching it. He's like, just go watch something else. Like,
yeah, I've seen
think
mixed
it's just-
reviews on him.
I think he was
post-show.
more like it was out of context, but he was really just saying like the decline of comedy shows in like people tuning in, right? Like viewers on comedy shows was down because it's too easy to go rewatch The Office or Parks and Rec or whatever instead of signing up for a new show. You know, signing some time away for a new show. So
I
he was
never thought
"Go
about
watch
that.
New shows.
I feel like there's some validity to that. I don't know to what extent. If a show is good, it's going to pull people in. But I'm sure back then you were forced to watch new things a bit more. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, the two most similar shows to The Office right now are The Paper, which is like their spinoff, direct spinoff, and then the St. Denis Medical. That show, pretty funny. It's finding its footing. I saw a clip the other day where one of the doctors puts on glasses for the first time, and all the girls are like, he looks like really good, right? And other girls like, I might ask him out later and all this stuff. And then this other girl's just like, they're just glasses. And then the surgeon doctor comes in and he's like, doesn't he look incredible? And then they're all like gooey and ushy over him. Gooey and ushy over him.
Julian Ushie.
Gushing and ooey over him. And she's like, guys, like, relax. And the surgeon guy's like, we don't agree with you. We all don't agree with you. But it felt very like genuine. And The Paper, I think, maybe has time to find its footing there. But then the medical one is pretty good. How's your day today?
It was good. It was good. Just putting cookies in boxes. So
Put cookies in boxes.
that's what I
But,
do,
like,
man.
But like generally speaking, was it like just like your general demeanor through the day? Like I had a rough day. I got like 4.5 hours of sleep, and then I slammed a sugar-free Red Bull, and I was like, that'll help on my way to work. Just made me anxious for like half the day. When I drink coffee or energy drinks, sometimes it like helps fill the gap for a little bit if I'm moving and have stuff going on. But I just had meetings, so I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm getting like wired feeling, and then I get just really, really anxious, and the anxiety doesn't go away for hours. And then it was just like my watch had an issue, so I had to order a new one, which was really quick. Like Apple delivered a new one today. It was really nice.
So you've got, what did you order? A 10, an 8, a 9. What is that one?
Oh, it's the replace. I had the 8.
You had the 8. Why don't? So you're swimming. Can you swim with that one? Is it?
Yeah,
is it
yeah. You
waterproof?
can swim with
Okay.
I think almost all except for maybe like the first one or two. But it like crapped out on me and had some weird, when you smash a TV and it gets that weird look. It like wouldn't turn back on, and then it did that like weird like digital like broken. I don't know. I didn't really do anything to it.
Like that.
What is happening? What is that? Is that damage, or did you scribble something on her face for that photo?
No.
Well, because it's right over the mouth.
It is,
That's
yeah.
right over. That's like insanely
happens to
good
be,
placement.
It just happens to be. See that? There it is. Dude.
Oh, okay. There was no context. You just held your phone up, and I was like, "Are you
Look at
making like you drew like
I
lines
scribbled a
on her
picture
mouth?"
over my wife's face.
No,
No,
our wives
I
put
went
up with us.
I went for a ruck, and I've been rucking for like a year. No problem. Just put my phone in my backpack. And then, like a week ago, I set my backpack down, and then I looked inside and pulled my phone out, and it was just smashed.
It must have hit something else you had in there, right? Or like hit a rock or something, maybe.
So can
Like
you see
right
the
at the-
screen? It's like
Oh no, that's not the screen protector.
Well, the screen protector's fine. Nothing happened to it. It's like totally intact. It's the screen.
It went through it?
underneath.
No
Yeah.
way.
It just bent. The screen protector just bowed, so it didn't break. So it just like and then the screen
Oh my!
shattered.
I would sue that company that made that. Like it went
Yeah,
through
I
your
know.
protector and smashed my
Yeah, your
screen.
protector's pretty flimsy, man. Like it just bends.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. That's pretty insane.
Well, when you take 30-pound weight and you basically just smash it right onto the iPhone, that's what happens. So I bought a nice little pocket that goes on my sleeve, on my strap now. So,
Okay.
but
Do you
it
think
was like that? Is that what you're saying? Happened? Like it had like that weird kind of faulty.
Well, like it's like I don't know, like when you smash a TV, it had like those. It gets like all the lines like that
Like
are
the
just like all up and
like
down.
The pixels are all
Yeah,
punched
there'll be like
and
a red line and like a blue one, and it'll be like the whole screen. It's
Okay.
like a zebra
I
of
see,
different
yeah.
lines. It kind of did like a weird digital screen, so I don't know if something happened to the screen underneath or what, but it's whatever. It sounds like it had a. I've never really had issues with the watch, but it sounds like I have better luck than you when it comes to that. It seems like your phone or that phone screen protector has.
That was the first time. Yeah, it's the first time I've ever broken a phone screen. I've never ever broken a phone screen until I smashed it with a ruck, 30-pound weight. So
Sounds like it doesn't have that screen protector needs a bit more rigidity.
ooh, I didn't know which way we were gonna go, but so we could, because we started with
Terrible segue.
media and then we're gonna go right into rigidity. I like it. I'm down.
Do you want to do rigidity? Do you want
Yeah,
to
we
do?
can do it. Let's do. I did have a question though about one. I had two questions.
Before you ask your question,
Yeah.
welcome to the save file, everybody.
Yes. Welcome to the save file. I'm Chris, and that's Shaler. Mm-hmm. And
My friends call me Shay Shay.
okay, all right. That
My homies
backfired
call me Shay
quickly.
Shay. Nah, Shay Shay be a cool name.
It's not a cool name.
All right, well, you can go by
Shaler's not a
Chrissy
cool
Chris.
name.
That's not better. That's worse. Actually, you know what? If you're like an Italian gangster, if you're Chrissy, you could be Chrissy the Big. I'm Chrissy the Big.
But yeah, you gotta talk like that, like a squeaky voice, like you're actually kind of small.
Yeah, like a Joe Pesci energy.
Yeah, Chrissy the Big. Okay. I don't even know. My questions.
Yeah, but we're gonna ask something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You went with the 8. Why not the Ultra?
Well, so the replacement I had for Apple Care was just like a replacement on the watch.
They just gave it to you.
Yeah, I just like swapped it out. I probably will get a new one soon, just because it's been like 4 or 5 years. I've had,
Yeah.
I think I had like the 2, then I had like a 5, then I had an 8. So I kind of jump like every 4-ish years or so. I feel like that's a good amount of time where it's like the changes, the features don't change drastically enough to go every year, every other year, or even every third year. But every few, like I'll get scratches and little chips on it and whatever, so it's probably good over time. I actually got the Apple Care thing as advice because it's like $3 a month or like $40 or $50 for the year.
Yeah.
I got it from advice when I went to Discount Tire to get tires changed one time. And I talked to this guy and we were chatting about my watch being like totally like damaged at that time years ago. And he goes, "Oh, do you got to get Apple Care for it?" I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Oh yeah, because I work here, I bang it on everything when I'm working on cars." He goes, "I've gone through like 5 of these in like a couple of years." And he goes, "And it doesn't cost me anything more." I'm like, "Sweet."
Dang.
So
That's
I listened
probably.
to
I
him.
mean, Apple Care. I didn't get Apple Care, so
Yeah, what are you gonna do with your phone? What's gonna happen? Are you just gonna like deal it out? Are you gonna put money for a new one soon? Or are you just like, whatever? It's so this is still functionable enough.
it works fine. Those pixels are just dead.
Yeah.
I think there's a place that can repair the screen, and I've heard they can repair the pixels. So I'm gonna take it there, see what they can do, and if they can't, then I'll just deal with it because this is a brand new phone as of like 5 months ago. So
I was just gonna ask which model it was. Oh no.
it is the lowest of the 16. It's like the junker. It's got like one camera.
A
It's
normal
just like
16.
garbage.
I mean, I have the 17 Pro and it's nice. It's fine, but if it depends on what you use.
16E.
Okay, those are good phones though. Like people like
Yeah,
those
they're
phones.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's it's
especially-
E for economical.
If you know if you know what you use it for, there's no reason to buy like I got the computer I'm on is a MacBook. But I had a MacBook Pro the first time I had a MacBook in like 2012, 2013. I had it for years and I did use it a little bit more for like pro-ish features back then, but like the pro level features now, like I'd rather have like either the full Mac like tower or have like a full built out PC. I got the MacBook Air because I'm like, it's good. It's a little bit lighter for travel reasons. I can get the bigger one where it won't add too much more weight. And I don't need like the Pro stuff at this point. So I was like, I still got like a nice little setup with this MacBook Air. So you don't need the crazy ultra pro large fatty phone that people get. Like I always find it funny when I see girls who had this happened in high school up until like work who have like a phone. They have like the biggest version of the phone and they're like 4'11". And I'm like, you can't even reach the top of your phone when you're like touching it with one hand. You have to use both hands. Insane.
Yeah. I honestly wish they were smaller. Let's just go back to being like the original iPhone size.
Oh yeah, like that, like original to 5. They had like a really good size ratio
Yeah.
to them. Nice little
Yep.
phone. I don't know. I've seen little things about them possibly doing the fold because like a lot of other companies have been doing like a fold, but they're changing it to where the aspect ratio is like wider on the phone, and when it unfolds, it becomes like an iPad Mini. And I'm like, I'm not an Apple freak, but I was like, I'm an Apple freak. I have a MacBook, I have a watch, I have a phone. But like that's a good idea, and they know how to do that. And if everyone else has done it right, they're gonna copy and do it better.
Yeah.
But they might be too late to the game also. So I don't know.